Namaste. Welcome. And thank you for joining me for our weekly practice. I've so enjoyed doing this. The challenges that it's presenting to me and the feedback that you're giving me is wonderful. So thank you once again for joining me. So this week we are going to be working with the energy of Vishuddha, our throat chakra. We're going to be together for about an hour to an hour and a half. So make sure that you've set aside time and you're not going to be disturbed. For this flow, I don't think you need any additional tools, possibly a strap if your flexibility is a little bit limited, but on the whole, the moves and the asanas that we're going to work through will be accessible to all. And I'd like to introduce two new tools at this point. So the first one is a mudra, specifically for the Vishuddha. And a mudra in yoga we use to channel our energy by arranging our fingers and our hands in certain ways. So for those of you that perhaps aren't aware of mudras, each one of our fingers represents a different element. So we have fire in the thumb, air in the index finger, earth in our middle finger, ether or space in our fourth finger, and water in our little finger. And by arranging them in different ways, we can either enhance or suppress those energies. So for the Vishuddha mudra, quite simply, just roughly, loosely interlace your hands like so, and sort of bring them round, close like this, and touch your index finger to the relevant thumb, so your right index finger to your right thumb, creating two interlocking rings like so. And then just loosely place them in your lap. And you can adopt this during the meditation that we're practicing this week, or when you're sitting watching TV, anytime really. But it's just a really nice way to tune in to your Vishuddha. And the second tool that I'd like to introduce at this stage, which is so relevant to our Vishuddha practice, is the Ujjayi breath. So this literally means victorious breath, and it's a practice of slightly constricting the airflow through your throat, and you make almost like an oceanic sound, so an Ujjayi sound. And the way we do this is by, so if you imagine you had a mirror or a piece of glass in front of you, and you're holding it up, and you want to huff onto the glass, so you'd breathe in, like so. With the Ujjayi breath, you just simply place your tongue on the top of your palate and do the same with your mouth closed. So imagining that you're still pressing that with that same force to huff that glass, but with your mouth closed, so it sort of resembles like a sort of sound. And the purpose of the Ujjayi sound itself is to attune your awareness to each breath, putting you in immediate touch with its quality and texture whilst breathing deeply. So it really tunes you into your breath. And it's particularly good during asana practice, so we'll start to engage it when we start to practice. And it does also just bring our attention to our breath more so, and the sound that we're creating obviously is sending some vibrations out into the universe. So in terms of a perfect match, the Vishuddha flow and the Ujjayi breath is perfect. So without further ado, if I can just ask you to come into a nice comfortable seated position, and we'll begin some gentle warm-up. So I'll allow you to just settle in. So first of all, just making sure that your root is nice and down and your crown is heading up towards the sky, lengthening your spine. And we're just going to adopt our new Vishuddha mudra gently in our laps, and just allow your eyes to gently close. Just tuning in, doing a quick body scan, maybe assessing whether you can be perhaps 5 or 10% more comfortable. Tuning into any areas of tension and just allowing that to release. And we're just going to do 3 beautiful cleansing breaths together. So breathing in through the nose and releasing with a sigh out through the mouth. So breathing in, nice deep breath. And letting it all out with a sigh. Ah. Once again, breathing in through the nose. Ah. And one more time. Ah. Just returning to your own rhythm. We start to attune with our Vishuddha, with our throat chakra. So think, imagine, or feel the most vibrant colours of blue all around you. Coming into this place of expression, communication, connection. So the key to unlocking the fifth chakra is attunement. And our first step is listening. Listening isn't just about words or sounds. It's also about listening to your body. Listening to subtle cues of movement and blockages. It's about listening to your feelings, to your intuition, to inner guidance, your inner net. Listening is quieting the chatter within you long enough to hear a deeper truth. In our journey up the chakra column, we've now passed the halfway point of the heart chakra. We've entered and aligned our inner temples, and we've activated the energy within. Then you've softened and expanded into the air of your heart. Now you're ready to begin refining the raw energy you have generated for the higher consciousness of our upper chakras to come. You'll do this by listening to the subtle vibrations within and attuning the etheric field of your energy body. So we set our intention for today, for really tuning in, tuning our dials so we receive our frequency, our pure frequency, no interference, so that the soundtrack of our souls can be broadcasted far and wide. Releasing your Vishuddha mudra and just bringing your hands to heart center, palms together, and we'll join together for the first time to repeat the mantra hum. So we'll breathe in together. Just allowing those vibrations to settle. keeping your eyes closed and just resting your hands on your knees. Gently allowing your eyes to flutter open. Okay. So starting with just some gentle warm-ups, we're going to take our right hand and turn it over our left shoulder and just place it into the crook of our left elbow, and placing your right thumb pointing downwards and really pulling, using your left elbow as your fulcrum, looking over your right shoulder and just breathing in, starting to engage that Ujjayi breath. And on your last breath, just releasing and changing arms. So placing your left arm into the right crook of your right elbow, turning your left thumb down, looking over your left shoulder, and breathing. Making sure you feel the stretch across the top of your shoulder and also opening up your shoulder blades at the back. Making this an active stretch. Last breath here. And release. Just coming into some gentle shoulder shock. So we're going to breathe in, lifting our shoulders up. And exhale with a rapid release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, release. Inhale. And exhale, release. Inhale. And exhale, release. Last one. Inhale. And exhale, release. Placing your hands onto your shoulders, we're just going to do some gentle shoulder rotation. So first of all, moving backwards. So inhaling and exhaling to the back. Inhaling forwards. Brushing your ears, exhaling back. Inhaling forwards. Exhaling back. Inhale forwards. Exhale back. Last one. Inhale forwards. And exhale back, changing direction. So inhale. Last one. Just coming into some gentle neck stretches. So we're going to inhale to lengthen our necks. And exhale, take our head over to our right shoulder. And you can stay here. For an extra stretch, you can place your right hand on the left side of your head and just allow gravity to do the work. But really concentrate on stretching your neck here nice and gently in terms of protect your neck, but feel the stretch and try and pull your left shoulder down at the same time. So breathe in. Try and engage that Ujjayi breath. Nose pointing forwards. Last breath here. Gently releasing your hand if you had the extra stretch and just coming back to neutral. And inhaling to lengthen your neck, and exhaling, taking it over to the other side, adding the extra stretch if you wish. Nose pointing forwards. And pulling your right shoulder down, really feeling that stretch. Breathing into any tension. Last breath here. Gently releasing back to center. Coming now into a seated mudra. So we're going to interlace our hands behind our back with the heels of our palms touching like so. We're going to roll our shoulders back, and first of all we're going to inhale, lengthen. And pressing the heels of our hands together, just opening up our neck, allowing our necks to fall backwards, and breathe. Last breath. Coming back up to center. We're going to inhale and lengthen. And exhale, folding forward. Now pressing into our fingers. Really allowing our chest to open. Last breath here. And on your inhale, coming back up to center. Coming onto our backs. Bringing our feet about a hand's width distance from our hips. We're going to come into Setu Bandhu Sarvangasana, so bridge pose. So with your hands underneath, you can sort of start to wiggle your hands underneath, but basically we're going to inhale, and on our exhale, pressing our pelvis up to the sky and sort of wiggle your shoulders, so you almost roll your shoulders under and interlace your hands underneath. And breathe, engage in that Ujjayi breath. Make sure that your knees don't fall out, try and concentrate on pulling them together. Almost imagine you had a block in between your knees. And on this is just about as much about pushing the floor away as it is about lifting your pelvis. So make sure that your feet are engaged. Try and lengthen your neck, so giving yourself space for your Vishuddha to shine. One more breath here. And slowly releasing your hands, and vertebra by vertebra, making sure you're taking care of your back, just lowering yourself back down to your mats. Nice. Straightening out your legs in front of you. I want you to point your toes, engaging your feet, and with your thumbs pointing upwards, I want you to just lift your pelvis slightly, placing your hands underneath your bum. We're going to come into Matsyasana, or fish pose. So on our inhale, we're going to press on our forearms, lifting our chest, maybe wiggling your elbows down a little bit. Now at this point, your head may be hovering, and that's fine. You want to aim to just rest the crown of your head on your mat. And just breathe. It's a great throat opener. Really concentrate on lifting your chest. remember your Ujjayi breath. Last breath here. Now to come out of the pose, gently lifting your head, relaxing your elbows and just gently lowering vertebra by vertebra in the opposite direction and lowering yourself back down to the mat. Nice. Just resting here for a few moments. Just tuning into your body. From here I want you to just turn onto your side and gently come round onto your bellies. And we're going to move into Cobra pose. So starting with our hands down by our sides, resting on your right cheek. Now remember, we've done Cobra pose before, and the important thing is to remember to press your pelvis into the ground as much as you're concentrating on contracting your back. We're going to do this 3 times. So preparing yourself, placing your chin on your mat, your hands are nicely wide and spread underneath your shoulders. Your feet are pointed, so your legs are engaged. We're going to inhale and exhale. Press up and pushing your pelvis into the ground. Making sure that your shoulders are back and down. Ujjayi breath. Last breath. And exhale, slowly release yourself down to the floor. And resting on your opposite cheek, placing your hands down by your sides. Small restorative breaths here. Preparing to come back into the pose, so fingers are nicely wide and spread underneath our shoulders. Our chin is on the mat. We're going to inhale. Exhale, press up. Now remember, you can always adopt half cobra if your flexibility allows. Making sure our shoulders are back and down. We're engaging our pelvis, pressing it into the mat. Our feet are pointed. Pressing into our fingers. Last breath here. And exhale, release. Down to the floor, resting on your opposite cheek, hands down by your sides. Coming into Cobra for the last time, prepare. Chin on the mat, inhale. Exhale, press up. Last breath here. And exhale, release down to the mat. Tucking our toes under, placing our hands underneath our shoulders. We're going to press up into downward facing dog for the first time. So seeing as it is your first time, we can walk our dogs a little bit, pedal it out. Making sure that our hands are nice and wide, our fingers are spread nice and wide, our shoulders are back and down, our gaze is towards our knees or towards our navel, our thighs are rotated slightly inwards.
We have nice even pressure on all 4 points of contact on the mat. And if you've lost connectivity with your Ujjayi breath, this is a good time to tune back in. One more breath here. And we're going to come into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. So we're going to turn our left foot to 45 degrees. Pinch our right foot to our knee, to our nose. Placing our foot in between our hands. Making sure that our grounding is nice and firm. Making sure that our hips are in line with the short edge of the mat. And when we're ready, inhale. Extending and bending into our right knee for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Making sure that our left hip is slightly rotated inwards to make sure that our hips are in line. And that there's equal pressure in both feet. And with that energy surging from each one of our fingertips that we learned from our Manipura flow. Allowing this asana to really express the warrioress within us. One more breath here. And on our next inhale, straightening our right leg. Tick-tocking our feet around so our back foot is at 90 degrees. Our arms are up at shoulder height. We're going to breathe in. And exhale for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Making sure that our shoulders are nicely rotated out, that our arms are in line, and that we're pressing with equal force out of each of our palms. Making sure that our hips are in line with the long edge of the mat, so rotating this front thigh in slightly and your back thigh out slightly. One more breath here. Releasing our hands down to our hips, bringing our left foot onto our tiptoes. We're going to come into Virabhadrasana 3, or Warrior 3. So coming up onto our right foot, making sure that we've got strong, firm groundings in our standing leg. We're going to start to tilt forwards, extending our left foot back, pointing our toes down, and when we feel ready, extending our arms out in front of us for Virabhadrasana 3. Last breath here. And slowly start to pivot yourself back up to standing. Arms down by your sides in Tadasana. Going to take a small vinyasa here and meet back down in downward facing dog. So inhale, arms go up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, folding forwards, leading with the heart, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhaling, stepping or jumping back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Exhaling fully here. Before inhaling, upward facing dog. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Just taking a moment here. Re-engage in that Ujjayi breath if we've lost it. Last breath here. Turning our right foot now to 45 degrees. We're going to pinch our left knee to our nose, placing it in between our hands. Coming into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. So grounding ourselves, making sure our hips are in line. So inhale. Shoulders are back and down. Last breath. Inhale to straighten our left leg. Top our right foot out to 90 degrees, making sure our hips are now in line with the long edge of the mat. We're going to inhale, arms up to shoulder height, and exhale, pressing now into our left knee. Making sure that you can still see your big toe. Extending out with equal force from both your left arm and your right arm. Pressing into the outside of your right foot. And on your next exhale, releasing your hands down to your hips. Bringing your right foot up onto your tiptoes. We're going to come into Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. So coming up onto your left foot, making sure you have good solid grounding in your standing leg, gripping with your toes, engaging your thighs. Inhaling to lengthen and exhaling, slowly pivoting forwards. And when we feel ready, extending our arms out in front of us, pointing our right toes down to engage that leg and to help with balance. It also helps to level off our hips. Last breath. Slowly start to pivot. And we meet back in Tadasana. Well done. Inhaling, we're going to step out with our right foot, coming into Utthita Trikonasana, so a nice wide stance. We're going to inhale, arms go up to shoulder height, lengthening our spine. Exhaling, reaching as far over to our right as we can, and then tipping our teapot over for Utthita Trikonasana. Our left foot is at 90 degrees. Front legs are straight. If you need to, you can take a small bend in your front leg. Last breath here. And on your next exhale, look down at your foot. And come up to standing. Taking your hands down to your hips. Whoop. We're going to just bring our left foot onto our tiptoes. We're going to come into Parivrita Trikonasana. So extreme twisted side angle. So we're going to bring our hands to heart center. Inhale. Exhaling, coming forward, placing your left elbow over your right knee and twisting, looking up if you can. The idea being that you bring your heart to your hands and try and really open up your chest. If you're struggling with balance here, just take your legs a little wider, so maybe take them to the edge, each corresponding edge of your mat. Making sure your shoulder is back and down. Last breath here. And inhaling. Coming to the top of your mat. This time stepping back with your left foot, taking a nice wide stance. Your right foot is at 90 degrees. We're going to come into Utthita Trikonasana on the other side. So inhale, To lengthen. Exhaling, bending to your left and tipping your teapot over. Your back foot is at 90 degrees. Really concentrate on trying to slip your shoulder blade into your back pocket to open up your chest. Last breath here. And on your next exhale, look down at your foot and using your inhale to bring yourself back up to standing, releasing your hands down to your hips. Again, adopting, coming onto your tiptoes on your right foot, maybe adopting a slightly wider stance. Whoops. And we're going to come into Parivrtta Trikonasana. So hands together in heart center. We're going to inhale. Exhaling, come down, placing our right elbow on our left knee. Try and concentrate on each inhalation lengthening and each exhale deepening the stretch. Last breath here. And release. Bring your hands down to the ground. We're just going to press back into downward facing dog. Reconnecting with your Ujjayi breath. Last breath. Just coming down onto your knees. Returning to camel pose. So coming up onto your knees, we're going to place both of our hands in the small of our back. We're going to inhale and exhale, gently leaning back, protecting our back, engaging our knees. So imagine pulling them together. If it's available to you, you can continue down to grab your ankles, then going up onto your tiptoes to give you extra, and allowing your head to drop back. To come out of this pose, lifting your head and coming back up to center. Coming now into rabbit pose. So bringing our heads down as close to our knees as possible, grabbing our heels with our hands and literally lifting our tailbone up into the sky. Now you should feel this stretch by pulling on your heels and really pressing that pelvis up into the sky. And also bringing your forehead as close as you can to your knees. Last breath here. And release. Oh, don't know about you guys, I'm getting nice and hot. So we're now going to move into some inversions. So Salamba Sarvangasana or shoulder stand. So if it's best to watch what I do first and then practice yourself. What I don't want you to do is to get into the position and then be moving your head to try and look at your screen. So best to watch how I do it, to listen. For those of you that are very familiar with it, please go ahead into the full pose. But if you're unfamiliar with these inversions, then I suggest watching me first. I forgot one actually. So first, before we go into the inversions, we're going to come into crow pose or bakasana. So from this position, you're still on your knees. We're going to place our hands nice and wide. I'm just going to come up onto our tiptoes. And we're going to bring our knees to the outside of our elbows like so. So you can practice bakasana either with like bent elbows or straight elbows. Straight elbows is the full pose, but sometimes that can be a little bit difficult to attain. You can also start by just having your feet on a block before actually going into the full balancing pose. So with your knees on the outside of your elbows, we're just going to tip forwards. Your gaze is about a foot in front of you. And releasing back down. Now we're going to come into the inversions. So we're going to do Salambasharvangasana, so shoulder stand, into plow, and then into Kanapadasana or ear pressure pose. So as I say, if you're familiar with that sequence, then please go ahead. But for those of you that are unfamiliar, so simply with the shoulder stand, we are going, first of all, we're going to bring our knees sort of up to our chest. We want to get to a position where we can support our backs. So to give us access to our backs, first of all, just sort of rock your knees close to your head and wiggle your elbows under so that you can place your palms on the backs of your buttocks. When that's in place, you can extend your legs up in front of you. So you can either have them at a slight incline or you can have them straight up in the air. But make sure that you're not crunching your neck down like so, but you're giving yourself space not only to breathe but to allow your vishuddha. And just breathe. When you are in this pose, please don't move your heads left and right. And hold this for about 8 counts. Now from here, we're going to slowly lower our legs down to the ground, coming into plow pose, interlacing our hands, sort of wiggling our shoulders so we can press into our hands and have our hands flat on the ground. Again, making space in between your neck and your chest so that you're not collapsed like so. And on your next breath, just releasing your knees down beside your ears into ear pressure pose or Kanabhajapindasana. On your last breath, just placing your hands on the small of your back once again and just gently bring your knees up. And we're going to slowly release, so you can place your hands down on the mat if it's better. Just slowly, vertebra by vertebra. We're going to lower our legs down. If you think you're going slow, go slower. pressing up, coming into Dandasana or staff pose. So just with your shoulders nicely backing down, your spine is straight, your root is pressing down into the earth, your crown is rising up to the heavens. Just place your palms beside your hips, your feet are engaged. We're just going to start to edge our hands back about just slightly wider than hip width distance apart. Just keep edging our hands back, edging them back until we reach about our maximum. And at that point we're going to inhale and exhale. Literally crawl and fall into our chest, allowing our head to roll back, relaxing your feet. And just stay here for long enough for you to feel some release. It's particularly good for opening up your shoulders. Really good after our inversions. Just a counter posture for the neck. One more breath here. And just inhaling, bringing your head up. And as you slowly start to come back to a seated position. At this point, we'll move into Savasana. So if you want to grab your blanket and your bolster and just make yourself nice and comfortable. Just making sure that your feet are as wide as the mat and that your arms are either palms up or palms down, depending, but nice and wide. You're nice and cozy, you're nice and comfortable. Maybe see if you can make yourself perhaps 5 or 10% more comfortable. Just tune in with yourself. Slowly closing your eyes. Allowing those new vibrations to settle. Releasing your Ujjayi breath and returning to a normal breath rhythm. So closing your eyes and go inside to your inner temple. Listen to the sounds in your body, starting with your breath. Follow the rhythm of your breath as you inhale and exhale. Not forcing anything, but just listening to the air flowing in and out of your nostrils. Beneath the breath, listen for your heartbeat. Feel it as a vibrating organ at the center of your being, whose vibrations flow rhythmically throughout the body, through every artery. Now, notice the rhythm of your thoughts. Ignore their content, but imagine your silent witness is listening to the cadence and tone as if it were a muffled conversation in another room.
See how your breath, heartbeat, and inner thoughts all dance to a single rhythm, each playing their individual parts. Feel the harmony of each part in concert with the others. Now, begin to listen to the sounds around you. Listen to any sounds of nature or of cars or people outside. Take your listening into the imaginal realm and imagine you can hear conversations out on the street, broadcasting on the radio or television, sounds that are occurring in schools, offices and stores. Imagine you can float above your city or town and listen to the chorus of the whole area as one single song. Expand your view to include your state or province, then your country, your continent, and finally the whole earth. Imagine this collective sound as one primordial Om resonating all around you and deep, deep, deep within you. When you have heard that, come back to your body and your breath. Listen for the Om inside you, like a background buzz of your internal motor. Imagine that Om in harmony with all that you have heard. When you can internally imagine your Om as part of the symphony within and around you, take a breath, open your mouth and let that sound out, softly at first, then gradually louder and louder. Feel the sound vibrating through your body. Maybe touch your throat and feel the subtle vibrations beneath your fingers. Feel the resonance in the bones of your head, the back of your neck, your shoulders and down to your fingers. Continue singing and let the sound move down your core, down to your base chakra and out through your legs to your toes and into the earth. Imagine your Sushumna, the vertical cord of your soul, resonating with the clearest frequency in harmony with everything around you. Part of the chorus of life, joyful and creative. Then let the Om gradually get quieter until you hear it only on the inside, in harmony with the murmur of your thoughts once again. return to silence and simply be. I'll keep an eye on the time and I'll let you know when it's time to come back. start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Start to bring life back into your body. Taking some nice deep breaths. Maybe taking a nice wide stretch up and overhead. When you feel ready, just turning over onto your right side. And just pressing back up into a seated position, keeping your eyes closed. Maybe placing your hands in our Vishuddha Mudra in your lap, so loosely interlocking your fingers, touching your index finger to your thumb, creating interlocking rings. Or placing your hands on your knees, palms up, palms down. Take a moment to thank yourself for giving yourself this time today. And just bringing your hands together at heart center, palms together. We're going to join together in the mantra for Vishuddha, as well as the primordial sound of hum. So we'll repeat together the I am open, I am authentic, I am a creator, followed by hum to close. So breathe in. I am open, I am authentic, I am a creator. Breathe in for hum. Bringing our practice to a close. Thank you to each and every one of you for joining me, and thank you to yourselves for being so awesome. And I wish you a very awesome rest of day. Much love, light and blessings to every single one. Namaste.